What makes fishing in the Northwoods so special, in my opinion, isn't just that there's one lake, that has all the big fish. We don't have one giant body of water. It's all of these little isolated lakes tucked back in the woods with kind of untold potential. Honestly, most of them, not much to write home about. Mostly those 14 to 18 inch walleyes. But a few of them will have low numbers of big fish. And those are the special ones, in my opinion. Alright guys, we are back with hopefully what's going to be another video today. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We're going out for one big bite today. We're fishing up here in northern Wisconsin, and it's challenging to get a really big bite up here. And a big bite, you're talking something 28 plus. Most of the lakes I fish, I've never seen a 30-inch fish, never heard of one. That's a pretty lofty goal. A lot of these ones I've never caught one in my whole life out here. But a lot of times what you have in these lakes is some will just have a bunch of numbers with no big fish potential. Other ones will just have like less than a fish per acre. But in my experience, I've found a few freaks in a few of those lakes. And today we're hoping to we might end up fishing 3 lakes today. I don't know. But we're on the first one right now. I haven't been out here in a couple years now. And we're hoping we can find one of those big bites. It's kind of a chilly, cold spring morning, but it's going to warm up today to like 80 degrees, it says. So it's going to be just an absolutely insane day. So we got the Warrior in the water. We're big fish hunting. I have no idea what could happen, honestly. We could get out here and clock 2 28s and a 22-incher in 8 hours. Or we could get 3 15-inchers in 8 hours and end up switching lakes and doing the same thing again. So it should be an adventure. Beautiful morning out. Let's see if we can't hunt one down. All right, let's get it going here. I have no idea what to expect today. We might not see a walleye to catch. Not sure though. Fish on right there. Pike. This is most of what you're going to see in these lakes. You're going to catch about 10 of these, and then a 28-incher is going to show up, hopefully. Fish right there. Bass. Next we just need a muskie. On right there. Dude, it's a walleye. It's a walleye. Oh my gosh, dude, we got one. We got one. He's not that big. He's really nice fish for the Northwoods, but Come on, bud. Stay on. Stay on. Oh, yes, dude. Real finessey. That might have been what I was doing wrong this whole time. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Man, was that a weird bite, dude. He was just sitting on it. Sitting on it. Come here. Come here. Just an old warhorse walleye right here, man. Oh, yeah. Had to go to the jig, take the jerkbait off. I was seeing a few of these fish just nestled way down there in the weeds. There we go, man. Not giant. We'll measure them for you guys since we're on our big fish hunt anyways. See what we got. 22, 23. Beauty. Not our giant yet, but we're one fish closer to possibly figuring something out. This is one of those lakes I could easily have seen myself fishing for a couple hours or half a day and not even thinking I was around a walleye because it's that low numbers. If the other fish are doing what this fish is, they're going to be really hard to see. They're tucked way down super tight to bottom, super tight in some red leaf cabbage. That broadleaf cabbage it's got huge leaves on it. So when you try to look into it with something like live, it's just like everything looks like a big, real thick mass. So it's hard to really see into it until you almost like get up on top of it, looking down into it real close. Which, the closer you get to them, the harder it's going to be to get them because they get real boat shy. We're in 8-9 feet of water here. Obviously, the water is relatively clear in this lake. I might try the old leech program here, see if I can just drop or kind of just get in areas that look like they got fish, and I'll just let that bobber just kind of like sweep down it, and then maybe pitch a jig around while that bobber's doing that sweep. I haven't really seen this. I mean, that was like the first thing I saw where I was like, ooh, that could be a walleye, you know? I'm just on a little main lake point here. You can see just coming out of a big soft bottom bay behind me. This is the first just like little, there's some rocks way up shallow and then some weeds out here on the edge. What was that, dude? That bobber went down. I didn't even know it was going down. It's a little walleye. Oh, that was like immediate, dude, on the slip bobber. Can't see any of these fish. A lot of times when you're doing this live, just the only advantage is seeing the pockets in the weeds. Seeing where there's not weeds, and then having a pretty good understanding of how walleyes relate to weeds and putting your bait near that. On, right there. I don't think this is a walleye, though. It is a walleye, dude. Couple not big ones. Well, spot number one, we got 3 fish. One of them nice, 2 of them small. I think I got to spend a little bit more time here. Just doesn't seem right. Not crazy about what I'm seeing. Well, just went around the whole lake. Caught only those couple. Maybe time for a lake jump. On, right there. It's a walleye. It's a walleye. Look at that one, dude. Right out of the red cabbage, too. Can you guys see that cabbage down there? That is pretty cool. There's a couple of them there, actually, too. Whoa, don't go in the trolling water, buddy. Damn, that is cool, dude. One of the cool parts about spring, I mean, you can just literally see right into the red cabbage we're fishing on top of. And these fish are just sitting down in it, right in little bald spots in that. They're real finicky though. I'll put the jig on them and I'll jig. And then I'll finally get one to go. Nice fish. Look at that. He got as big a fish as that is. He's 20 inches long. He was in the mouth of a muskie somewhat recently. Beauty, man. I'll see you later, dude. Gotta get back in there. There's a couple others in there. Not really a big fan of how these fish are set up. And not really seeing much. It may be time to switch lakes for us. I think it's some potential I could come back here in the evening and maybe they'll be set up a little bit better on those sweet spots and I could get baits to them real clean now that I know where those spots are. Flat calm and sun, 4 foot of water bite, challenging. There's a couple of those spots I could see them tucked in there, but by the time I see them, I'm too close to them. All right, guys, here's the deal. Was gonna switch lakes. Went home, wanted to grab a couple different rods, got home, ate a little bit of lunch, switched some rods, and then I got stubborn. And I was sitting there thinking, we have to go back. We actually had some clouds move in. It's like kind of frontal looking, wind picked up. So I'm thinking that some of these fish in this real skinny water that I saw this morning, I think I can like sit on a few of those sweet spots and get them to go a little bit better. I think I was around a few more than I thought. Obviously the issue, there's other lakes I know I could go catch like 26 incher for sure tonight. But this lake I've dealt with some really big ones out here. It's just so low numbers. More times than not, I come here and catch a walleye or 2 walleyes. But I know the fish we're looking for lives in this lake. So we're going back. We're stubborn. We're going back to where we were this morning. Didn't really like the way it looked, but I feel optimistic the way the day is shaping up. So a lot of times this is what this is. It's a low numbers hunt for one fish, right? I mean, if we get 3 bites tonight and one of them's a good one, that's big success. This is kind of the reality of a lot of these small lakes like this. The number's super low. There's nobody that walleye fishes this kind of stuff regularly at all, versus some of the other lakes around, but the shot at the one is kind of what we're here for. So stay tuned. 10-minute drive to the lake. We're gonna dump the boat. We got some favorable conditions. Let's hope we can scrounge up one of those big girls. All right. Let's see what we can't scrounge up here. Sometimes what you'll have happen, I've noticed, especially in the spring when you get fish in shallow water, is you'll get some of these walleyes that are just kind of all scattered all over the place in the morning. As the water warms, they'll kind of set up a little bit better. And then by the afternoon, if you have a warm day, which it is pretty nice out today, you start getting fish like piled up a little bit more and sucking up high in the water column a little bit better. And makes them much more bitey generally. I'm gonna try dropping some real like finesse slip bobbers right on them with a leech. See if I can't just like swing them. I mean, you're basically dealing with like a pocket of 2 fish, right? Or a fish. There's a walleye bite right there. On, right there. Not very big, but it is another one. Just watched 2 of them kind of roll in there from nowhere, dude. And this is how these little sweet spots are gonna work. You're gonna sit in them, and then all of a sudden a fish is gonna show up, right? It's just like that natural stopping point. There we go, nice walleye. I mean, overall, we're catching a fair amount of fish. That probably took, I don't know, 15 minutes. Lake produces some beautiful little walleyes though. Fat, healthy. Oh yes. When I do get these fish up in real skinny water, and it's like they don't want to touch anything, my modification will be 1/8 ounce float weight on there, and then just a straight octopus hook snelled on there. And that it just keeps that leech much more wispy and floaty. So if you look at my screen here, all weeds and rocks over there, that gap in the weeds right there is where the fish are coming through and sitting. And you can see how wide it is. It's about 20 foot wide. And they just occasionally will pull into there. It's like, it's right in just a little dip on the backside of a a real shallow high spot in here. A lot of times on these small lakes, think of everything as just way more shrunk down, right? You don't see seasonal movements that span miles, right? You just see a lot of times slight shifts in location on key pieces of structure. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of times, obviously when fish are spawning, they might be right up on the shoreline on a gravel bank on these little tiny lakes, you know? Then you get on to like this time of year, we're in that post-spawn, water temps in that 55, 56 degree range. And fish are just gonna sit on that first piece of structure coming off the shoreline, some kind of dip, right? Then as that turns into like the middle of summer, you're gonna see some fish sitting there in that 7 to 10, 12 foot zone. And you might have some fish on the deeper piece of the thing, right? The isolated hump in the middle. And a lot of times, it's just everything's way more shrunk down. There's not, 5 miles between each transition. There's just 10 yards, right? It's just at a level in the water column those fish are relating to. So, and a lot of times there's not going to be a whole ton of different spots. So like you break down a lake like this where there's just not a million different things going on, right? They're probably always going to be on that point that they like. They might just be in 2 feet in the spring, in early spring, 7 feet in this time of year, and 15 foot in the summer, right? And just keep shifting down those little sweet spots. So a lot of times when I'm looking at these little lakes, this is kind of how I think of them. Right here, bobber down. Come on, not big. It is a walleye though. I'm actually shocked to see another class of fish coming up in this lake, which is definitely good to see. This is more fish than I've ever caught in one day on this lake. It's just gotta be a big one that eventually rolls into here. Oh, other bobber's down, dude. That could be better. Come on, baby. No, dude. Oh my gosh, dude, I was just about to loosen my drag too. Dude, yeah, they're just dropping right now. There we go. Come on, baby. Decent walleye. Come on, girl. Nice walleye. I am shocked, dude. I cannot believe we're catching this many fish. Look how nice that fish is, too. All of a sudden on this spot, everything I'm catching is on the one with the jig on it. Look at that walleye, dude. That's an awesome fish on the slip popper, dude. Clocking them. They're not the big ones. Of course, we just got terrible lighting here. Look at that fish, dude. Whoa, whoa, he's angry, he's angry. Beauties, dude. His front's coming in. And we're just sitting right on this edge here. And that's like the perfect situation. Oh my goodness, dude. Feeling good. Feeling good. Come on. Feels nice, dude. Awesome. 20 incher. 20. I cannot believe the school of fish we're in right now. Unbelievable, dude. Eventually, I mean, we have to tie into a big fish here. We're catching half the fish in this lake right here. Oh, yes. Yes. This one's all messed up. I'll show you guys. This one's got some strange stuff going on here. Look at that big wart he's got on his cheek. Very strange. Pretty fish other than that, though. They're built so well, man. Oh, okay, feed me a bigger one. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm sitting just off this point right here. And you'll just kind of occasionally, there's one right there on the bottom. You'll be able to see a few of these little suckers just real tight in this stuff. And some of the voids and pockets. Obviously these weeds are real tall and thick here. There's a couple right back behind me right there. And all I'm doing, I'm just taking this bobber and pitching that thing right to where those fish are. Going down right here. Walleye after walleye after walleye, dude. This is insane. This is really optimistic though to see this many fish coming out of a lake. They used to just not have anything for walleyes. At least that I noticed the last few times I've been here. Piles of these 15 inchers. And a few of those obviously nicer ones. We're still not seeing the fish that we're here for, but how can you go wrong on an afternoon like this, dude? This is insane. There we go, dude. What a beatdown on this spot. I caught one fish here this morning. Came back and look at the difference now. Look at the difference now. Here's just a nice 18 incher right here. Come on in, baby. The slip bobber is on fire, dude. Absolutely on fire right now. I'm fishing a bunch of weeds right here. And I'm just setting the slip bobber higher than the weeds. And they're just kind of roaming through here. And this is a pattern that works really well when fish are really shallow and a little bit finicky. Obviously, a lot of times you'd throw like a big snap jig or something, but it seems like this is just kind of the deal. I'm just kind of tossing it out there almost like at a 45 off the bow, right where I'm seeing a few fish. And I'm just letting them sweep kind of right through there. The fish aren't very far away from me, but just that little sweep in there. It's like every time it goes through there, it goes down. All right, we're gonna try something different. We're gonna run into one of these big shallow bays and just see what's going super shallow. There's bigger fish in here to be found somewhere. Well, that was kind of our day, folks. Very happy with how many fish we caught. A little bummed out we didn't get a big one. I mean, we did get a couple this morning. We had two bigger fish than we had this afternoon. A couple of those, you know, low 22, 24 inchers. But more times than not, attempting to get a giant walleye on some of these real tiny lakes is tough. Huh.
All right, well.
You guys catch a lot of walleyes out here?
They catch a few. I mean, the people that know what they're doing, they're catching some. But,
Not a big time walleye lake though?
well, they don't reproduce it.
Interesting.
But there's fish in there, you know, like I said, you know where to look for them. But you had fun anyway, right?
Yeah, you have a good night. Well, that was today on the water. Honestly, had no idea what to expect when we started this one. Figured we could have caught 3 fish. We could have jumped lakes a whole bunch of times. Ultimately, we were trying for one big fish and didn't get that bite today, but it was a fun day, nonetheless. Caught a pile of walleyes out of a tiny little lake, which I've never really fished before, more than just a handful of times years ago. And these little lakes change so much, you know, there's no natural reproduction, so it's just kind of all dependent on stocking and how many of those fish live, basically, right? Low density, and obviously we got on a couple of those better schools of fish today, so hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. I enjoy catching walleyes, whether we're on the Great Lakes, whether we're on a little 500-acre lake in my backyard. So it's always fun trying to fish something different. You always learn something, whether it's just a spot or something about fishing shallow red cabbage next to a rock, right? There's always something to learn every time you go to a different lake, which is one of the reasons I enjoy doing it so much. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. I'm signing out. I'm gonna go home, cook a giant pork chop up. I've been thawing out today, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Hopefully you guys are having a good season and catch some fish, and we'll see you later.